All right, guys, I'm going to show you something insane today. $1.5 million worth of sports cards. This is the very first episode of Madness Museum. Our goal is to find high-end collections and just show them off to you guys. Cards that we would almost never get to see, that are usually tucked away in vaults. We bring them to the light of day and take a nice look at them. So today I brought on Dan Pingree. He actually has a sports card investor fund and collects a ton of high-end cards himself. I asked him to pick his 5 favorite cards out of the vault and show them off today. You are not going to believe what he showed us. All right, what's up, everybody? We are experimenting here. This is the first Sports Card Madness episode where we're actually going to focus on someone's personal collection. This collection is bonkers. I'm sitting here with Dan Pingree, okay? He reached out to me a few days ago and he showed me some stuff that almost had me on the floor. Okay. We're talking a ridiculous autographed Jackie Robinson card, and some other things he's going to show you in the show. So Dan, welcome to the show. I'm really excited to have you here.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. So let's just get into it, man. So for the audience, he's going to show off 5 of his favorite cards. I think one bonus card at the end. And I'm just going to ask him 3 questions about each card. Why did you want that card? How did you get that card? And what is this card worth? Okay. So Dan, what's the first card?
Well, the first card for me, I've always wanted an autographed Jackie Robinson card. And my favorite Jackie Robinson issue is the 49 Bowman, not the 48 Leaf. Some argue for 49 Bowman being his rookie, but aesthetically, I just find the 49 Bowman a lot more pleasing than the 48 Leaf. So this is my Jackie Robinson.
Wow.
This is a PSA 5 with an auto grade of 10. So this is a pop 1, none higher. And, why did I want this card? Because I'm a real admirer of Jackie Robinson. I admire his civil rights work. I admire him being the first to cross the color barrier. Amazing player, too. I didn't realize until recently that he had 4 varsity letters at UCLA. I didn't realize he had a varsity letter in basketball.
Wow.
I knew about the football, the track, the baseball. I didn't know basketball. So just an amazing player, amazing athlete, and a beautifully penned signature in a perfect spot. And it's stunning. I love this card so much.
I like that it's blue and it just rolls with the Dodgers blue. It's real nice.
Yeah. How did I get this card? I actually got this card when it was in a blue holder, one of those dreaded old blue PSA holders. I got it a number of years ago. I was pretty confident that the autograph was good. And I was fairly confident that the card would numerically grade. But there's that unknown factor when you're dealing with PSA. So
of course,
fortunately it did grade. And like I said, this is a pop 1, none higher. And the 10 autograph is probably the rarest part of this. I'm not sure I've seen too many vintage signed Jackie cards that have a 10 autograph. So love this card.
So what do you think this card is worth right now if it went up for, well, what do you think it would sell for at auction?
I think it would go for 400,000 to 500,000.
Whew, man. So this is a good lesson for the audience, maybe on a smaller scale. I've done this with blue flip labels before. If you don't know what that is, basically early on in PSA's early days, they would grade the autograph, but they wouldn't pay attention to grading the card. And they would just put it in a label saying the card's real, the autograph's real, and there's real opportunity there. So I took a Bill Russell card that had no grade. It was a beautiful signature and it was in a blue label. I got it for a couple of grand. And all I did was cross it to PSA. It came back a 310. It was his 1961 card, and it's probably worth about $5 grand. So there you go. There's 2 or 3 grand of value there. It's on a different scale with this Jackie card, and that's probably not what you intended. But I think that you created 6 figures worth of value by changing that label, which I find very interesting.
Yeah, you always have to be careful with the blue labels, right? Because you might be buying a card that is a reprint, or has been trimmed or touched up in some way. So as always, buy the card, not the holder.
Of course.
Spend that extra time really looking at the card. I know I did. And even then I was a little bit nervous with that one, but it turned out fine. And obviously it's a beautiful card and it's in its rightful holder.
I
So,
love it. I love it. It's like a museum piece. Awesome. All right, number
all
two.
right.
I saw this one before we got on, and this is my favorite so far.
So
Woo!
this is my favorite Babe Ruth card. I obviously Babe's the GOAT in baseball. This is to me my favorite Babe Ruth card. It's his 1933 Goudey 144. It's the full stance, full batting pose, and it's got an autograph. So the card's graded a 4. The autograph's a very conservative 6 in my opinion. It's a pop 1 of 2, none higher. One thing that's really interesting about this card is when I bought it, I was able to get the scrapbook sheet that it was mounted in for decades. And so on this card, you can't see it here, but in the corners, it's lighter in the corners because it was in corner mounts for decades in this scrapbook. And there were other Ruths beside it. So, and I have that scrapbook page along with the card as well. So I just think it presents much nicer than a 6 on the auto grade. And it's, of course, in fountain, black fountain pen. And Babe Ruth has such a beautiful autograph. So love, love, love this card.
My goodness. All right. So what do you think this one would go for at auction?
Um, I would say probably $500,000.
Oh, okay. So for the
So
audience, we've just seen $1 million worth of cards. I mean, this Babe Ruth card, like just a 1933 Goudey in good condition, just on its own is a ridiculous card. Okay. Never mind that it's autographed by him. I don't think there are many of those. That's crazy. I'll look up the pop count, but wow, well done. Amazing card. All right, what's next? How do you even how do you even go from here? It's crazy.
next is so one of my favorite NBA players of all time, a very intimidating kind of NBA player, and I was able to meet him in 2018 when he did the one and only public signing I've ever heard of, and that's Bill Russell. So I'll just show you my Bill Russell.
Oh, baby. I'm a
So
Celtics
Bill,
fan, so I'm loving this one.
so Bill Russell did have a signing at the Shriners show. I believe it was 2018, and so I was able to get this 6 signed. I cracked out a 6, got it signed. I think it's a little harshly graded with an auto of 9. This is one of these cards where uh, I wanted the autograph to pop. So
Mm.
sometimes as autograph collectors, when you're getting a card signed, you have to kind of make the decision of, all right, do I risk getting a 9, but using a type of ink or a color of ink that really pops on the card? Or do I go with a standard like blue, which in this case would totally blend in with the card and it's harder to see? Right. And so here I went with a silver Sharpie, which pops like crazy, but they gave it a 9. And so I've often kind of revisited that decision, but the autograph looks beautiful. It's a really nice looking 6. And I got to meet Bill Russell. Just
Awesome.
uh, I found I think that I think I was removed from Bill Russell's Christmas card list after my interaction with him because I asked him to sign it in a certain location. I had a photocopy example, and it, for whatever reason, I came across in a not so favorable light and pissed him off. And I wasn't sure he was going to sign it. And thankfully, his wife stepped in and interceded, and we got the card signed undamaged. And
Oh,
Bill Russell
man.
hated me after that. So, but I still love Bill Russell. Really admire him as a Celtic. 11 rings, unbelievable,
Yeah.
and just a fantastic example of facing adversity, all the racism he faced, and civil rights icon in his day, and all the crap he endured. I really admire Bill Russell, both as a human being and as a basketball player.
That's a great card. You know, a lot of people with that card, a lot of people do silver because it pops, but as you say, silver is a little bit risky. A lot of people do green because of the Celtics, but that doesn't pop as well at all. And then, you know, some people even did ballpoint to kind of make it look old school, even though he
Yep.
wasn't signing it in his playing days. I've got one of those personally. It's ballpoint signed in 2000 something. So
Yep.
I like it just because it looks like it was signed in 1958. But that's great. All right, well, so what do you think that would auction for? That's the second highest in the pop, right?
That's the second highest in the pop. Yeah, for a long time it was the highest,
Mhm.
and then There's a 6.5. The 6.5 10 went for 180,000 in 2022.
Yeah.
This
This
one's
isn't far
probably
behind.
this one's probably 100 to 125. Would be my guess.
Amazing.
As with all of the ones I've shared so far, I mean, if you just if you ever sell it, you just have to be mentally okay with never getting it back because you're not, and you'll
Yeah.
never be able to repeat it. So
It's just gone. Yeah,
it's gone.
exactly. It's gone.
You've rented it for a while, and somebody else now has it and can enjoy it. That's
Like a
kind of
museum, right? You should open up a
yeah.
museum and charge
Oh
people
yeah.
to come walk through and look at your nice stuff. I know
Yep.
I'd pay some money to come look at those.
Yeah.
All right, what's
Okay.
next?
Along the continuing on the civil rights theme. So this one is Jim Brown. This is Jim Brown's rookie in an 8 with a 10 autograph. This is a pop 1, none higher. And I got this one done myself. So back in when the National was in Cleveland, I think it was 2017 or 2018. One of the last public signings, if not the last public signing Jim Brown did, I cracked out an 8, which was pretty scary for me. And I got it signed. The only regret I have here is I really should have ponied up and gotten the Hall of Fame 71 inscription, but I didn't, and that's okay. Um, I got it back into an 8 with a 10 autograph, and now it's a pop 1 of 1, and he's not signing so much anymore. So real
Awesome.
treasure with this one. Just
I love it.
civil rights icon, but also just arguably one of the best football players to ever play.
I
So
found an old national program. I look at like old signings all the time, and he was at a particular national in the 90s, I think, and I think he was signing for $5. It's so fascinating to see, whatever that was 30 something years ago. Wow, that's a great card. So what do you think that one's worth?
I think that one's probably worth uh two
What
to
do you
two hundred fifty thousand.
Oh, I didn't
Be my
expect it to be that high. That's wild, but you're
I
right.
mean,
He's sort of a symbol of civil rights as well, and just like Jackie and Bill Russell and many others. So there's more value there for a wider audience. That's
yeah,
fascinating.
yeah.
Cool. All right, what's next?
Okay. We're gonna take a sharp turn on this one. This one may be a player that few have even heard of, although baseball nerds for sure have heard of this player as well as movie aficionados. So this is a 33 Goudey of Mo Berg. And so anyone who's a Paul Rudd fan or a movie fan and has seen The Catcher Was a Spy knows the story about Mo Berg. This is from the Uncle Jimmy collection, who autograph collectors, many of them have heard about that. So this would have been sent and received back from Mo Berg through the mail to Uncle Jimmy. And this is the highest graded 33 Goudey signed by Mo Berg. It's signed vertically, not my favorite orientation, but beggars can't be choosers.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um, this has a tiny little marking on the back, which gives it the 5 MK qualifier,
Hmm.
and a 7 auto. It's a pretty nice auto. Mo Berg pretty much died penniless in obscurity in the early 70s and never married, never had any children. But what he did during World War II as a spy was really amazing, very scary, and probably the most intelligent baseball player I've ever learned about. Just an incredibly bright human being who served his country nobly. So that's Bo Berg.
Amazing. What do you think that would auction for? I know a lot of people try to get the signed Gaudi set. I'm sure he's probably a difficult one. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. This one's probably 25K.
cool. Wow.
Not in the same ballpark value wise as the other ones, but
Of course.
interesting for other reasons.
Right, of course. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, that's why we collect, right? There's a story behind every card, and that's a really cool
yeah,
story that I had no idea of until I talked to you earlier today. So very cool.
not a prodigious signer, like Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle. They signed a lot. Mo
Sure.
Berg was just kind of an enigmatic human being who was just a recluse.
Right.
He kind of reminds me a little bit of Sandy Koufax, how reclusive Sandy Koufax is.
Yep.
Just is very shy and avoids the spotlight.
Excellent. All right. We
Um,
have the bonus card.
The bonus card really isn't worth very much, but it has sentimental value. There's, I think, over 100 of these at this point. It's the Barry Sanders 89 score, dual 10,
Whew.
10,
So a PSA
10 card,
10, 10.
10,
Amazing.
10, the dual 10. That's what we all aspire to, right?
Of course.
And this is meaningful because it's the only signing and really only hobby event I've ever gotten my son to go to with me. And so we had a great time. Barry was very personable and very kind to my son in talking to him about school. And we pleaded with him to please come coach our football team, which is hadn't won a game that year. And it was just all in all a very memorable event. And I think I've gotten Barry Sanders 4 or 5 times at this point because he is far and away the most pleasant, affable, nicest athlete I've had a chance to meet. He truly is a very kind, gracious gentleman. Love
Wow.
Barry Sanders. And in addition to arguably being the greatest running back to ever play, you could debate between him and Jim Brown, maybe
Sure.
Walter Payton, but stop it with the Emmitt Smith guys. Stop
Yeah,
it.
no, 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 not
Come on.
happening. I agree with you. Wow, Dan. I'm a little bit humbled. You showed, I thought I had a good collection. You showed me $1.5 million worth of cards very casually in, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And so my personal favorite is the Jackie. I've never seen anything like that ever. Just again, you'd have to go to a museum or the National to see something like that nice, a 510 autograph Jackie from that year. So thank you for showing me these.
Oh,
Thank you for
man, it's
showing
my
the audience
pleasure.
these.
My
So Dan,
pleasure.
you are a super collector. You also run a sports card collectibles fund, which I think is so cool and unique. If someone wants to get in touch with you about, I don't know, maybe collecting advice, what you would collect in, or just, I don't know, they're interested in what you're collecting and want to start a conversation, what's the best way for them to find you? And then also let the audience know what you're looking for, if there's anything they can help you find.
Yeah. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn, probably the easiest way, or you can email me at dan.pingree@gmail.
Hmm.
And that's a way to get in touch with me. And I'd be happy to chat with you.
Excellent.
Always like meeting new people in the hobby. It's grown a lot, especially since COVID. I've been doing this a long time. I really love it. I did it as a young boy. I took a break to get married, go to college, go to graduate school, and I rediscovered it kind of in the early 2000s, and I love it. I've been doing it ever since personally, and now I do a fund, and I think the best part of collectibles now are the people that I meet, and I really do genuinely mean that. Some of my closest friends I met through the hobby, and we're lifelong friends.
Awesome.
So, uh, what was the
So,
other?
in terms of, is there any card that you're seeking?
Oh, right,
You've had a tough
right.
time finding that the audience might be
Yes.
able to help you find.
Oh, yes, yes. And all three of these will ring familiar to you and probably everyone in your audience. And if somebody has one they're interested in
All right, let's hear it.
selling, hit me up. So the first one is the 61 Fleer Wilt, right? Which I know a number of people are chasing. I know, not the inaction and not one signed on the back, one signed on the front.
I actually know somebody who has one of these raw, so maybe I'll connect you with him after the show. But
Sure, sure. So that's definitely one. I don't uh I'm not really trying to complete any set per se. I just hit specific players, and as you
yeah,
as you saw the theme of what I presented, other than Mo Berg, they tend to be like elite Hall of Fame, almost
right.
GOAT level status players.
Yeah, so for the audience,
That's
that's Wilt
one.
Chamberlain's rookie card. It's got his picture on it. Looks very young, obviously, because it's his rookie card. And it's a $250,000 plus card, depending on what it looks like. So
Yeah. I think so I've got that's one of four. The second one would be, and I know the gentleman, and so does Nick, who owns the highest graded one of these, but I would love to have a 69 tops Lou Alcindor signed Lou Alcindor. So that would be
all right.
cool. By the way, if any of you think that you're going to ask Kareem to sign Lou Alcindor, just don't. Just don't. It doesn't go over very well. I'll just
Not
save you.
happening.
I'll save you a really awkward moment and stare
Yeah.
down. All
Just
right, so
don't
that's the
don't do
second
it.
one. The third one would be a 51 Bowman Maze, preferably in
Mm,
ballpoint. So there's a few of these around, but a lot of times the card is either miscut or very off center. I don't mind a Sharpie if it's a 10 auto on that card, but the ideal would be a nice 3 to 5 grade card with a ballpoint vintage signature. And that's an extremely tall order. So, um, we've got some funny stories in my circles of people trying to get 51 Bowman Mays signed, and with virtually no success, and the way the autographs turned out were just frankly wacky, because I think he has cataracts, and is virtually blind at this point, not to mention he just turned 94, I think, the other day.
Yeah, at some
93,
point,
94.
yeah.
So that's the third one. The fourth one, I would love to get my favorite T206 Ty Cobb is the green portrait. I've seen a couple of them signed. They've been beat to shreds. Not that I'm looking for an 8 or anything, but it would be nice to find either a red or a green portrait Cobb that's in, one PSA 1 to 3 condition shape with a Ty Cobb autograph. I think that would be a real whale of a card. I mean, Ty Cobb. I'm in Detroit. Ty Cobb's obviously a legend here. It's part of the history of the city and the Tigers, and his T206 cards are just iconic to me. So that would be the fourth one.
One quick detour here. How about that T206 Lucky 7 find? Have you heard? So for the audience, you can Google Lucky 7 find T206, and you'll probably see an article or two about it. It's been in the news. I mean, this is just a shoebox in an attic with perfectly preserved Ty Cobb and various other cards from that set. And it was basically because he owned a cigar shop, and it was in the family, and just kind of kept them. They forgot about them. I know Rick Probstein has a bunch of them, and they've kind of flooded the market. But I mean, they essentially found $25 million worth of cards in a shoebox in an attic. It's the stuff we all dream about. So it's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
Yeah, the Ty Cobb Lucky 7. I mean, these were cards that, as I recall, they had, what made them so rare is they had the Ty Cobb back. So the T206s have various advertising backs, and the Ty Cobb back is one of, if not the rarest back for Ty Cobb. And so this Lucky 7 find, I think, was 7 of them that had the Ty Cobb back. I think there was a Ty Cobb recently that auctioned off, I think at Robert Edwards, that had a broadleaf back on the red portrait, which I want to say might have been the first one they had ever seen or anyone had seen. That went for, I think it went for close to $200,000 in a grade 1 to, I think it was a 1 or 2.
Crazy.
So there are, we auto collectors have sets that we try to complete, and then there are very, very passionate collectors of T206s who try to get the different backs, different advertising backs, and there's a number of them. So
yeah, this is it's interesting. I mean, this whole thing for me, for the audience, it's almost like a parting lesson here. Think about the modern sports hobby and the 113 versions of these numbered cards that are out there, and think about the stuff that Dan has, accrued over time, and the stuff that Dan is after, and think about what is going to hold value long term, if that's your game, right? You're almost investing in a different asset class here, like art and really just fine collectibles. So in your collecting journey, even if it's at a different scale, go for a lower grade Russell with an autograph or something like that. That won't, cost a crazy amount of money, but it's good advice to find something that's scarce and then make it even scarcer with an autograph. Typically that will hold value over time. So excellent. What a great conversation. Thank you for showing me all of this stuff. I might have to have you back for round 2, because you said you have more stuff in the safety deposit box.
This
maybe
is just the tip of the iceberg.
We'll get you back. Thanks so much, Dan. Hopefully the audience can help you out with those cards too. Thanks again. All right. I hope you guys liked that. That was fun for me. Seeing all those cards was just crazy. Again, this episode was a bit of an experiment. Let me know if you like it. Leave a comment. And I'm not sure how often we'll drop these or when we'll drop them. Maybe every couple weeks, maybe once a month. Depends on if you guys liked it or not. So just let me know and give me some feedback, and I will find some more stuff and we can take a look at it together.